Okay guys, here we are again in one more class online. Today we're going to be talking about how to find unit breaks with ratios involving fractions, okay? So let's talk about work here. Let's check at these ratios. We saw ratios in grade 6. Let's see who remembers that. If I have 14 plates to every 8 bowls, can you please complete with another ratio that could be equivalent to that? Please pause the video and try it on a piece of paper or your Mage. Okay, so you might have gotten different answers. I will write some here on board. So let's see when I find a very good. Okay. So I could have written 7 plates to every 4 balls, right? Or I could have written 21 plates to every 12 balls. And of course, we know that 14 to 8, 7 to 4, 21 to 12, they are all equivalent fractions, and that's why we also know that they are equivalent ratios. Okay? So if you don't remember that, please pause this video, search on YouTube any video about equivalent ratios and equivalent rates. Now, let's say Miss Carla decided to open her pizza place, okay? And she can make 16 pizzas in 2 hours. At this rate, how many could she make in an 8-hour workday? Pause this video and try it on your own. That's okay, so let's see what you found. So if she can make 16 pizzas in every 2 hours, I have this ratio of 16 pizzas to 2 hours. If I want to know how many pizzas she can make in 8 hours, I actually want an equivalent ratio or equivalent fraction that has a denominator of 8. So I have to think about proportionality now. Proportion. How do I go from 2 to 8 with a factor? What factor do I multiply from 2 to 8? I multiply by 4. So because of that, I also have to multiply by 4 on the top part of my ratio. So 16 times 4, 6 times 4 is 24, goes to 64 pizzas. So if she keeps this rate, constant rate, she will be able to produce 64 pizzas in an 8-hour workday. Okay? Perfect. Continuing. How many pizzas can she make in 30 minutes? Well, let's say if she can make 16 pizzas in 2 hours, what is the best strategy to go to 30 minutes? Right? Pause this video, think a little bit, try to guess, try to make a mathematical guess using what you know from math, and then we're going to talk about it later. So 30 minutes. Well, if for every 2 hours she can produce 16 pizzas, okay? Let me just write here 16 pizzas to 2 hours. Okay? What happens if I divide by 2 if I think about 1 hour? Let's think about 1 hour. How many pizzas can she make in 1 hour? Right? It's half time. If it is proportional, which means she has to be able to make at least half. So half of 16 is 8 pizzas. Well, I want to actually the answer for 30 minutes. What is the relationship of 30 minutes and 1 hour? Right, 30 minutes is half of 1 hour. So again, if I divide by 2, it means I can also divide by 2 to get my proportion, to get my equivalent ratio. So 8 divided by 2, 4 pizzas. Which means that she can make 4 pizzas in 30 minutes, okay? If you have any questions, again, search online any video for equivalent ratios, okay, and proportion. So, talking about ratios and rates, have you ever seen this sign when you're traveling around? What does it mean? 60. 60 what? Well, it depends, right? Because if you're traveling in the US, it might be 60 miles per hour. Well, if you're traveling in Brazil, it would be 60 kilometers per hour, right? This is a speed zone sign. And a speed zone sign is all about math. It's all about proportional relationships. We're talking about a ratio here, okay? So, you know Mr. Jeff, right? Mr. Jeff loves traveling. So, meet Mr. Jeff, he loves traveling. Mr. Jeff just traveled 180 miles in 3 hours in the USA. What else can you conclude about it? If you get the sentence 180 miles in 3 hours, what else can I conclude about it? What other sentence can I make with that? Think about, pause the video, write down some sentences. Right? So, let's say he keeps a constant speed in his journey. If he crosses this sign, will he be respecting it? Convince me. Write down on your Mitch how you can convince me if he will be respecting or not the sign. If you just know this, he has just traveled 180 miles in 3 hours and he keeps a constant speed in his journey. Pause the video and try it on your own. And if you said yes, you're right. Let's say why? Because, well, if he travels 180 miles for every 3 hours, okay, I want to know in 1 hour if he keeps a constant speed, which means he doesn't change his speed, how many miles will he travel in 1 hour, right? So if I am here dividing by 3 my amount of time, I also have to divide by 3 my amount of distance, my distance. So 180 divided by 3 would be 60 miles, which means 60 miles per hour. 60 miles per hour, this is our unit rate. This is what we call a unit rate. Okay? A unit rate is a ratio that has a denominator 1, which means my denominator is 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second, but I'm dividing by 1. So this is not a unit rate, this is a rate. 108 by 3, this is a unit rate, 60 by 1, and we, in our real life situation, we always say 60 miles per hour, okay? So let's try another one. Now meet Mr. Philip, the biker. You have heard about him, right? Well, Mr. Philip has biked 36.5 miles in 2 hours. That's a lot, or not? I don't know, think about it. 36.5 miles in 2 hours. I don't think I would be able to do it. Well, I'm not the kind of person. Well, let's say he crosses this sign by the road. Slow down, speed limit 20 mph. Wait, mph, I've seen that before. I think it means miles per hour. Yeah, I think so. So, well, but he has biked 36.5 miles in 2 hours. So, if he passes by this sign and he keeps a constant speed, will he be respecting the sign? Convince me with your math. Pause this video and try it on your own. Okay, so 36.5 miles in 2 hours. So my ratio would actually be this. 36.5 miles for 2 hours. What I want here, I want to know what is the unit rate for his speed. So I want to know if he keeps a constant speed throughout his journey, how many miles will he have biked? So 36.5 for 2 hours. How many miles in 1 hour? Well, I'm actually dividing by 2, right? I'm actually dividing by 2. If I think about this, well, this is 2 hours, okay? But this is also 36.5 miles, right? And I want to know 2 hours, I want to split into 2 because I want to know how many miles is in each hour, okay? So, well, I know that 36 is easily divided in 2, and if I split 36 in 2, I have 18. But then I have this half a mile that I have to divide by 2. What happens when I have to divide half by 2, guys? I have half and I needed to divide by 2. What do I do half divided by 2? Half divided by 2. I always think about a pizza, mister. I have half, but then I have to divide by 2, which means I need to divide these in 2, but I also have to divide the other half in 2. So this would represent actually a quarter of my circle. So half divided by 2 is actually a quarter. So if I put a quarter here and a quarter here, I would have my 36.5, right? So that's it. He actually travels 18.1/4 miles in an hour. Well, so he will be respecting his time. You got it? Right? So this is ratio, rates, and unit rates in a nutshell. Okay? Well, you know what is a brisk walking? Well, brisk walking, let's read this. How fast is brisk walking pace? If you have your smartwatch, you probably have seen your smartwatch saying you're walking at a brisk walking pace. Well, boost your average walking speed for more health benefits. You know, that's important not to just walk like, looking around the shopping windows and blah, blah, blah. If you want to get healthy, you need to walk at a brisk walking pace. But what is a brisk walking pace? According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, a brisk walking pace is 2.5 to 4 miles per hour. One study defines that this is about 100 steps per minute for adults under the age of 60 years old. Okay? So if you are considered to have a healthier life, you would have to walk 100 steps per minute. 2.5 to 4 miles per hour. And this is a range from 2.5 to 4 depending on your age, your weight, your height, and many other situations I could apply to it. Okay, so now let's talk about Mr. Bush and Miss Sam. I think you know them, right? Well, Mr. Bush walks 4.5 miles in 1.25 hours. I know he can do better. And Miss Sam walks 3.25 miles in 50 minutes. What questions should I ask? Do they walk at a brisk walking pace? Show your reasoning. Pause this video, try to do this question using what I just taught about unit rate and ratios, and let's discuss later. Okay. You may have many questions about it, right? Well, that's interesting. I have 4.5 miles for every 1.25 hours. How I am going to write this as a unit rate? Because I want miles per hour. Then 3.25 miles for every 50 minutes. 50 minutes. But I need to write something about hours. Well, in 1 hour, Mr. Renault, there is 60 minutes. So 50 minutes, it is actually 50 out of 60. Do you agree, guys? 50 out of 60, because 50 minutes out of a total of 60 minutes in an hour. So simplifying this fraction, I will get 5/6 of an hour. Okay, 5/6 of an hour. So that's her situation. How can I find it? Pause the video again. Think a little bit. Try harder. Put your brain to work. So how would I do that? Well, if I need to find the unit rate, I simply have to divide them. So going to another place, I'm going to divide these two fractions. So I have to divide 4.5 by 1.25. Here I have to divide 3.25 by 5/5, by 5/6. And that's all you have to do. You have to do this division and you find your unit rate. Now you do this on your own. I'm not going to give you the answer because it's time for you to work. Pause the video and do it. Okay, we're almost done. Let's talk about Joe and Alice. Joe and Alice at PE lessons, well, PE lessons is all about ratios also. Well, Joe and Alice, they were at a track practice. The track is 2/5 of a kilometer around, 2/5 of kilometers around. Alice ran 1 lap in 2 minutes. João ran 3 laps in 5 minutes. What do you know about João and Alice? Who runs 1 kilometer faster? Convince me. So this is going to be your attendance task. You need to have done all this class, learn about ratio rates and unit rates in order to complete your attendance task at the end of this. I'm going to put attendance task. This will be in a Google Doc. You have to complete this. Convince me with drawing any mathematical representation, any equation or something you want to do to show me what you know about João and Alice and who runs 1 kilometer faster. Convince me. See you next time in another class for distance virtual learning.